But
yourself.
Then don't say for la cultura, though. Don't say you're for the culture. Don't use that shit as dollars.
Everyone, and welcome to episode 16. I am your host, Alannized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas. Para todos ustedes allá en casita que se están preguntando qué chingados esto es, escuchen pendejas porque no me vuelvo a repetir. Noche de Pendejadas is a weekly episodic show where I go ahead and bring your favorite influencer to chismear, have some cocktails, and see what the fuck they've been up to. So si tú quieres ver a tu influencer favorito, hazme un pinche favor, pendeja, and stop whatever the fuck you're doing and drop their usernames down below. La semana pasada, you guys, les traje una pareja super chingona a Pero Anoche, y hoy tenemos a una invitada igual de chingona. Please help me welcome my guest, rapper Snow the Product. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yo sé que últimamente has estado super ocupada. You've been killing the motherfucking game, pero aquí está, you guys.
Aquí estamos, sí, gracias a Dios. Ya llegamos bien. We're safe.
We were on a fucking phone call this morning, and I just hear like, hold up, we're getting pulled over.
And that's the very Chicana in me to be like, oh no, we're getting pulled, like as if we don't have everything legit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're like, I'm going to jail. I'm fucking going to jail. And you're like, I have tattoos and shit. I'm going to jail. But no, we're fine. We're here.
It's funny too because you're actually not the first person that has gotten a ticket coming to film the show. Usually a lot of people get tickets being at my house because we film Tuesdays. Y los Tuesdays pasa la barredora.
Yeah.
Se me pasa el pinche pensamiento, and I always like, well, my car's in. Like, who cares about theirs?
You're like, figure it out.
Getting a ticket, but I always be like, oh, it's a $40 ticket. Don't worry, I'll pay it. But, you know,
with the rancho and shit, like everybody just park. I'm like, dude, park in the dirt. I don't care where you park, but
There's
go in
parking,
here.
Yeah,
sleep here wherever you want and just
like,
figure it out.
Sleep with the fucking cows. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, like I don't want a DUI or I don't want you to get a DUI and then I feel guilty. So I'm like, knock out in the goat pen for sure.
So para ustedes allá en casita que no conocen a Snow the Product, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to her para que ella les diga quién es y qué hace.
Que me identifique. Okay, I'm a rapper. I've been doing this for a really long time. I podcast with my girlfriend and with my mom and my kid and everybody. I like to make content. I like to rap. I'm independent. I have my own label and I have a ranch where I live with my cousin, my brother, and we kind of run everything in-house and we're just trying to do it like bien como a la mexicana, o sea, chingándole and we don't quit and that's it.
Here you go. She was like, I'm gonna give you my whole fucking life story.
Okay, you want a bio?
She's like, you said you want to know about me? Let me go ahead and run that shit down.
I've been doing press runs lately, so I'm like, fucking, I got it.
You're like,
I know who I am.
You're like, I gotta present myself. It's funny because that's usually like the toughest part about when you like film something with someone. You're like, presentate. And sometimes you're like, bitch, I don't even know who the fuck I am.
No,
you know?
if you go Snow the Product, presentate, I know. If you go Claudia, presentate, I'm like,
you're like, I don't know who the fuck she is.
I'm like, I'm lost.
We're gonna go ahead and get started para lo que ustedes vinieron al pinche chisme, because I already know y'all are not watching this just to see Snow's pretty face. Y'all came for the chisme, for the tea. Y aquí la tenemos, you guys, para sacárselos todos. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with chisme and cocktails. So we're gonna bring in some little cocktails, you guys. Snow is getting a little modelito. I'm getting a little vaso con agua because I don't gotta spill tea. We gotta get her drunk.
Right?
So we're gonna cheers. I love water. I feel like, are you like a,
No,
where she's like, I love alcohol. So we're gonna go ahead, you guys, and get started with the motherfucking questions. From 2012 to 2018, you were signed to Atlantic Records. Now you have your own label, and you've been, doing all this shit independently. Yeah. How is it like managing a whole ass music career, being an independent rapper?
It's crazy when you mention that Atlantic Records thing, because it's like, dang, like that goes to show you, like, I'm a Cancer. Like, I'll stick around longer than I need to because I want to make sure that, like, I'm not messing up and leaving. So I stayed there for way longer than I should have because, honestly, I was shelved. Like, no artist wants to admit that they were shelved, but I was shelved. So that means, like, you're not allowed to put out music because they're telling you, oh, wait for this, wait for that. But they never let you put out music, you know? So
it's like you're waiting for fucking ever.
Exactly. So it's like years go by and like you're maybe uploading a couple things on YouTube. You're like trying to figure out how you can like still gain a fan base. I'm not allowed to drop music. So it was kind of like, it was difficult. They just didn't understand. I'm not going to say that they didn't want to push me. They just didn't understand what it is to be Mexican, American, queer, you know, all these things that I am. Like it kind of like, they were like, you know, maybe they thought like every single Latino is the same thing. And I think sometimes it's like you have to explain like, yo, well, I'm not necessarily Chicano rap, so like I'm not like Lil Rob, but I'm also not like, you know, Puerto Rican. So it's like I'm trying to explain these things. I think it was just like this whole identity thing. And I didn't want to leave because I did feel like I want to put my culture on like on a major label status. So I was like, yo, like I would love one day to like really be, you know, be that flag, like to be out there. But I realized at some point, sometimes you got to leave, you know, sometimes you got to just start from scratch, start from zero. I literally got like everybody that was like in that team, I just got rid of, from management to labels to everything. And I was like, look, I'd rather go from zero and do what I've been doing, which was my primo and my brother been helping me since I started, and just fucking start from scratch, you know? And it's been, my career has done way better without everybody like that. And I've made more money. I've actually made money. That's something that was new to me. So I think being independent was definitely the route. And now I don't have anyone telling me not to drop music. So now, thank God, after all these years, I finally get to drop music and do whatever I want and be happy, you know? So I feel good.
It's crazy that you fucking mentioned about, you know, they didn't really understand who Snow was. We're talking about 10 years, almost 10 years ago, you guys. We're talking about when she signed in 2012. We're in 2022. I feel like who Snow is was so ahead of your time. Porque ahora you see everybody trying to be a Snow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like you were that one like person, that one rapper that was like doing something different que no se miraba en eso entonces. Y yo pienso que por eso those major labels or just people were being like, oh no, es mucho, es mucho, es mucho. Pero ahora it's like, queremos mucho, mucho, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like now you see more artists like, you know, the Mexican flag and all this stuff. And it's like, it's cool. Like I love that. Like to me, that was all I wanted. I grew up with like kids in high school like being like, oh, I'm not Mexican, or like if they were Mexican they were like, oh, I'm not like those Mexicans. And it's like, bro, like shut the fuck up. Like if you're Mexican or Mexican American, whatever, like we're all the same shit, you know? Like seas paisa, seas fucking no sabo kid, seas Latinx, seas lo que sea, like we're the same fucking shit. Represent, hell yeah, thank God, we're good.
When you were with the label, did you ever feel like, fuck, pa quedar bien con ellos, did you ever think about like, fuck, I gotta change who Snow is, I gotta change myself to fit in, to be able to like make it big? Or did that leaving the label give you motivation to be like, you know what, I'm gonna not just prove the label wrong, but prove everybody wrong, that I'm able to do what I do being myself?
I feel like in my music I come across tougher than I actually am, because that's like my alter ego, you know? So it's like, to me, I do feel like they would expect me to be able to push that. And I think sometimes I did. I was a little bit of a pushover. Like I would be like, okay, bet, you want me to try that? I'll try it. And then I would try it and then they'd be like, oh, well, maybe you. And it was just like this like tug of war that was like, when I finally was like, you know what? Actually, finally, I'm going to say no. I don't like that. Like, let's do this, let's do that. That was when it was like a little bit more of a struggle, and I was like, you know what, let me go. Like, and they gave me, I had a cool A&R over there, his name's Riggs, and he was like, look, he's like, give me a chance. He's like, give me a few months. If I don't make this work for you, then I'll give you your walking papers. You can leave, no drama, no stress, no lawsuits. I was like, bet. So we did it. I was like, hey man, at the end of a few months, I was like, hey man, like it didn't work out. Like, is it okay? Like, can I go? He gave me my walking papers. I walked out. Everything was cool. So to me, good. I was like, thank you very much. I did my time.
Because you don't hear that too much, especially from big labels. Like siempre escuchas que te dan muchos pedos, siempre muchos problemas. So that was good, at least, that you had a very, very smooth like exiting.
I think it was me waiting. All that extra time was more like me being like, okay, like I'm gonna let you prove it to yourself that this isn't working, because I don't ever like to be like the bad guy in the situation. I don't want to be this rebellious, like, you know, ungrateful person. So I was like, yo, thank you for trying. It didn't work out. Let me just fucking go and like let me do my thing. So that's where I'm at, and I'm a lot happier as a person, as a human being. I think I'm a creative, and as long as I get to create and like put it out for the fans, that's it. That's all I want to do, like for the rest of my life, you know.
You started off 2022 with the fucking kick-ass year. You know, tuviste tu canción con Kenia Oz, joder, y apenas hace unos días acabas de sacar tu canción con JMX, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Pero no nomás este año, you guys, le ha ido bien chingón. Años pasado, you were Grammy nominated artist.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you wouldn't be where you're at today if you wouldn't have been like, you know what, I gotta dip?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot of times in my life where I just wanted to quit. Like I didn't want to do this anymore, because it just felt like it was so much stress and, you know, in my personal life, obviously, like I was already going through a lot personally, and then you throw in all this music stuff, then you throw in like maybe you try to help people out in this, you know, in this industry, and then maybe they think it's easier than it is because you're carrying the weight, so they're, you know, looking at you like, and you're just like, bro, I'm so tired of everybody, like, can I just like go work at Walmart and maybe it'll be like less drama. So there was definitely times, but I do think that once I kind of like got my priorities straight and I started dropping music and I started just leaving, like dead ass, like, you know, sometimes you just feel like leaving, and I just left and I went to like, you know, Mexico, I went to Puerto Rico, I went to Colombia, I went to all these different countries, and I was like, yo, they're countries, like this is a country and they got top artists there too, and I'm a fucking top artist representing Mexican American. Why don't we collaborate within our own fucking Latinos and fucking do this shit? Like everybody, when you think Latinx, right? You're fucking like, okay, fucking Bad Bunny and J Balvin and fucking Karol G. But it's like, no, bro, there's a lot of us that want to fucking eat, that want to collaborate, that are maybe not that level, but we're like a little bit lower. Like, let's all work together and fucking help each other out. And it's been great. I'm happy. I get to go eat amazing food in every other country, and I love it.
And you got to travel and meet new fans and meet new people. You know, that's the fucking good thing. You know, I'm a huge Kenya Oz fan. How was that? How was that collaboration?
She's a Cancer. She's a fucking sweet girl. Like, she fucking, you know, she reached out. So I did a TikTok live. People were like, Kenya's. I was like, okay, bet. I was like, on TikTok, like, I'm gonna hit her up. I was like, so I hit her up, and then she hit me right back, and she was like, I'll send you something tomorrow. She sent me something tomorrow. Next day, I sent her my verse back. I was in Colombia at the time. I was in Medellin recording with Blessed. And fucking, yeah, that was it. Like, we sent it, whatever. We waited a few months. Then she's like, hey, I have the video. Come to Mazatlan. I was like, okay, bet. That was it.
Damn, that's crazy. And to think that, you know, así pasó, you guys, and that fucking song was la rompieron con esa canción.
Yeah.
It was fucking trending and en tendencias en México, en todo Latinoamérica, hasta aquí. How was that experience? I mean, I'm sure you've had other songs make it big, but I mean, like, having to go from that little, you know, like that little message on TikTok to this big ass project que sacaron, how was that for you?
That's a perfect example of being independent. It's like a major label would have made it to where management and label and A&R and all these people and everybody's got to talk and all this stuff, whereas this was just like, hey, want to do this? Yes. All right, cool. All right, come over here. All right, bet. Done. Like, and then you're trending everywhere, and you break records like for most trending Mexican collab. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that just happens. Like, the Visa Rap thing happened last year just because he was like, come to Miami, I'm here. Bet. Pull up, went, recorded it, did whatever. It comes out. You're like, you know what I mean? Like 100-some million views. You're like, oh shoot, that's cool. Like, that type of stuff. I love vibes. If the vibe is right and things align, like, let's just do it. Like, I don't.
Y pienso que hasta lo disfrutas más because you're like, no fue tanto pedo to get to this, where it was like more easy, it was more like friend vibes.
Yeah.
That cuando you see the success of the song, of the partnership, lo disfrutas más. You're like, damn.
No egos, no none of that. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that I will say about like Mexican American, or sometimes Mexican. I think we're brought up with this like ego, or like, you know, like no andes pidiendo, no seas pediche, no seas esto, lo otro. But sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just like, yo, like, no tengo amistades porque literally I work all the fucking time. And so the only people that can understand the type of person I am is people that are in this industry. Yeah. So why not hang out with them? Why not talk with them? Why not like, vent, fucking express each other? Let's collab, like all that type of shit. Feels good. You get things done. Y pues nada, que nos valga madre.
And I feel like, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, like, how in our cultura, it's like, no seas pidichi, no andes, you know, besando el culo a nadie. But it's not even that. Sometimes you really do have to, like, reach out to people, not necessarily being a pediche or being, like, jodiéndoles or nothing. It's more of, like, you know what, let's be friends. And I feel like in our cultura, because we're taught the way of, like, no seas así, don't do that, don't do this, a la vez, we stop ourselves from really achieving greatness. Yeah. So it's great that you're able to be like, you know what, like, I'm not gonna let you know, you're a big artist too. It wasn't gonna stop you from reaching out. Yeah. Because look at what it fucking did for y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I learned that honestly, I learned that more recently. And I learned it watching like Puerto Rican artists, I feel like. Because I feel like Puerto Rican artists always collaborate, and they're always like, oh, que Dios te bendiga. Like, they're always very like supportive to each other. Yeah. I think because they come from such a small island that they're just like, bro, like, you know, we're out here, like, it's us, you know, and it's like, that's dope. And I wish like Mexicans or Mexican Americans would adopt that too, because even though we're from a big ass country, like, we should be able to be more supportive and helping each other, because I think there's a lot of us out here in that competition shit, or that like, I want to be the only one in the room, like, oh, shut the fuck. I'm so exhausted of that I'm like, anyone who reaches out, if you're doing your thing, you're honest, you're a good person, like, what you need.
That's a fucking prime example, you guys. Hay mucho, ¿cómo se dice? There's a saying that says, you know, el peor enemigo de un mexicano es un mexicano. And a lot of that is very fucking true because miran un mexicano doing great, you guys, y ahí va otro pinche mexicano tirándole piedras.
Ay.
You know what I mean? And I feel like it's great and it's amazing when you see Mexicans, Latin American, like all of us, like Latinos, supporting each other, you know, because it's very rare when you see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a really, really long time. You know, what was that moment for you that clicked, that made you realize that you were finally getting the recognition that you were deserving of?
I think I just wanted to be happy. I think that was it. I think that's where it started. I think it was like, you know, me wanting to travel and realizing, yo, like I could travel somewhere and I could make some music with whoever is there or make a music video with somebody who's there. I just wanted to, like, you know, you get to a point where you have this like existential crisis of like, one day I'm gonna die and like, what the fuck was this? Like, what am I even doing? You know? So you're like, let me go see the world. Let me go fucking try food. Let me go do different things. And I think when you just focus more on like your happiness and your like inner peace and like searching for that instead of like, you know, your career, which I already did the work, you know, I already sold the CDs on the street. I already sold tickets on the street. I already did the shows with 5 people and I grew that shit to 100 to 1,000 to 2,000, you know, I already did that. So now it's more like, yo, like, let me be happy and teach my son that like you have to have like a good work-life balance and things align and things just work out and things click and it's cool. And sometimes they don't. And sometimes you might drop a song that's less popular than this one and you just keep going. And then the next one might have like 100 million views. You don't know, you know?
I feel like that's very important. I feel like for any aspect of life, not just for like a rapper, for a YouTuber like myself, you know, I feel like it all starts with being happy, porque si no, I feel like you start making any little problem. If you're not happy, you start making any little obstacle a bigger deal than it is, and you just don't know how to approach it. And I feel like the moment you start being happy, you're able to tackle anything down, and you're like, you know what, like, this is good, this life, it's gonna happen, shit's gonna go down, and all I gotta do is like fucking go through that shit como si nada, you know what I mean? Yeah. You've been breaking barriers. You know, you're a female rapper que no se mira mucho, and you've been doing the damn motherfucking thing. Yeah. How does that make you feel seeing Snow 10 years ago to seeing her now?
I think it's cool. I think it's like, it's still the same thing. It's like, it's still honest. I think it's growth. I don't think it's very much change as much as it's growth. And I think it's like, even me accepting myself, like there's obviously layers of me that I've kind of peeled back and been like, okay, I've been more open, more vulnerable with like certain things about myself. But I do like that, you know, a lot of my history of like who I am is there. I think nobody can deny that 10 years ago when nobody was doing some of the shit that I'm doing to like represent, like I was doing it. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool and it gives me a sense of pride to be like, yo, like I can walk in any room and like you're not gonna tell me I haven't been doing my best for like my people and to represent. But at the same time, like I've also grown and I'm like a little bit more worldly and I'm a little bit more like about the universe and like life and just like, you know, just trying to figure out how to live my best life before, you know, we're gone.
I feel like it tiene que ver mucho with evolving. I feel like you said it's a lot, not really change of a person, but it's more growth. You see the work you've put in, you see everything you've done, y ya luego ya miras todo el fruto de ese árbol. You know, you start seeing all the fucking amazing shit that comes from all the hard work you've been putting, and I'm sure it must feel fucking amazing to be like, fuck, like 10 years ago, I didn't think I would be doing the damn shit that I'm doing now. And it's fucking amazing because it's like, you know that nothing was handed to you. You know that you had to work for every single thing that you have now. So it makes it even better when you see everything that comes your way.
Yeah, and I feel like it aligned in a way where now I get to be like, because, you know, when you go through as much stuff as I did, you feel a little salty. You know what I mean? You see when people get handed stuff and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, that person got, you know, and then they compare you to people who got everything paid for. And you're like, well, but then you get over that. And then you go, okay, whatever. Like, that's their journey. Like, this is my journey. My journey is to show people how you do it by yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, like, there's been difficult times in it. But there's also a big sense of pride in, like, I did it. And that's a good lesson for my son to be like, yo, your mom did all this. Like, I better not hear you complain as a man, you know,
that you can't do it.
Yeah, that you can't do it. Like, you got this. Like, don't give me that shit.
And I feel like that's a really fucking nice thing that you said right there, because I feel like por mucho tiempo a las mujeres, to women, it was very like, no se puede, you can't do it. So your son seeing that you're a woman and you've done all this, it's more than enough for him to be like, you know what, if my mom did it, I can do that too.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever the fuck he wants to do. Like, no necesariamente he has to follow your steps in being a rapper or being in the music industry. Whatever he proposes himself to doing, he knows he can do it, because if his mom did it, he can too. Yeah. You know, so like you've mentioned a couple of times, you have a son. How's it like balancing being this rapper, you know, going on tour, doing all this badass, you know, fucking rock star, fucking pop star shit, to like being a mom, being in a relationship, being a daughter, a sibling? How's that like for you? How do you manage all that shit? Because that's a lot.
I think compartmentalizing. No, I think being able to know different aspects of my life. I mean, I think, you know, even a lot of times, you know, being queer and having a girlfriend and having, you know, all these different layers of who I am, at some point meet, but at the same time, sometimes I handle completely different. Like, obviously, if I'm a rock star and I'm on stage and we're drinking, you know, shots of tequila and girls are twerking and all this stuff and I'm popping a champagne bottle, like, I have to be honest with my son and explain to him that, you know, this is my job, but he also gets to see the hard part. He also gets to see me cry at the airport because I'm leaving for 2 months and I don't get to see, you know, I don't get to be home, I don't get to be comfortable. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, as much as I pay mortgage for my place I live in, it's like, I don't be there. You know what I mean? So you're like, this is for y'all. Like, this is for y'all to have, you know, for y'all to be comfortable. This is my being a provider and like a protector of like my family, but I also got to go and, you know, do all this stuff. So I feel like I try to kind of handle everything, you know, and be very honest. I think the biggest thing that I can take away from like who I am as a person is like, I try to be as honest as possible with everybody, because I'm like, I can't even keep up with lies if I wanted to. So it's like, baby, I'm not perfect. I've never had an 11-year-old. Like, you know, see me eye to eye here, because I'm like, yo, if you start messing up, I can't save you all the time, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing, because I remember being 13, 14 and thinking I had life figured out and wanting to lie to my parents. So to me, I'm like, you know, I had this conversation with my mom last night. We were taking shots and we were on my podcast, and I was like, you know, it's crazy because you were at some point like my age and you had me. I'm like, and I thought you had life figured out and you were like this, you know, Mexican mom, and you were tough and you all have all this stuff. And I'm like, you didn't know what the hell you were doing, just like me. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I didn't. And I'm like, I wish you would have told me that. Like, I'm like, I would have felt a lot better about like the whole situation, instead of feeling like, you know, blaming your parents, like, yo, you're never here, like what, you know. But I'm like, you were dealing with divorce and being a single mom and, you know, working 2 jobs and all these things that you had going on, plus mental health issues, which is never brought up in Mexican American families, which is one of those things where it's like, yo, like, there's all these layers. So I think the biggest thing is like being honest and being like, yo, I can do this, I can't do this, I'm trying my best, like, you know, and you do all that, but sometimes people don't understand, you know, like, I have a son, I'm queer, then you get these comments from like, oh, ¿cómo va a ser gay si tiene un hijo? ¿Cómo lo hizo? You know, and you're like, there's layers, and clearly people need to have conversations.
So and it's like, girl, like how everyone else has a baby, you know what I mean? Like, and I just feel like, you know, the whole queer topic, I feel like it's really hard for like straight heterosexual people to understand like someone like us, you know what I mean? Because it's like, obviously, like for me, I try to be more in like, as long as like they're trying to understand, I'm like, okay,
that's where it's at.
Te explico. Pero ya cuando empiezan to be disrespectful and being like, asking all these like nada que ver questions, it's kind of like, okay, ya te estás pasando de verga, like cálmate, like it's not your life at the end of the fucking day. Like, why do you have all these questions? But I feel like for a lot of the part, I feel like when it comes to talking about sexuality, I feel like there's people that know how to ask it and there's people that know how to go about it without it coming off rude, without it coming off like strong. And I feel like you being you know, in the fucking limelight, I feel like you get a lot of those stupid people, especially because you're a rapper. You know, you're not over here singing
all the time.
Yeah, and you're, you know, a lot of like rappers, you know, you see all the guys, you see all the girls. You're not over here like doing a cappella where it's like all girls. How do you deal with men being that stupid? I'm like, seriously though, I'm like, just offending.
I do agree. And you know what? It's not always men. Sometimes women
It's
too,
women
like,
too,
se
yeah.
pasan de verga, like, straight up. Because it's like, you know, there's a difference. Like you said, if you mean well, and that's where I think this, like, new generation and, like, TikTok and, like, you know, cancel culture and all that stuff, like, I think there has to be a little bit of a limit on stuff, because it's like, if someone means well and they're making a mistake, there's a teachable moment, because we are changing culture. We are changing the world. Like, as much as that sounds like crazy and dramatic, it's like, we are. Like, every single time that we sit here and we are an example, and even though we get the negative comments, we also, like, set a good example. We're slowly changing a certain demographics mind state on, like, our issues. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, bet, like, let's do that. But when we just shut down and it becomes a this against this, it's like, bro, like, nobody's learning. Like, now it just becomes this weird ass beef. But yes, how do I deal with it? Teachable moments. Obviously, when you're in an environment where there's a lot of alcohol and, you know, people are starting, you know, they're feeling themselves, they're stupid comments, and that's where you do got to draw that line and that boundary, be like, yo, don't talk to me like that, like, you tripping. But you try your best to be understanding. Like, for example, with, like, pronouns and stuff, like, with me, like, people ask me and I'm like, look, you know what, to be honest, I wouldn't even be a good representative of that, because I'm like, I'm not even gonna act like I have the biggest boundaries on it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, you know, but somebody else might. So I'm like, talk about that issue with that person. And I think we have to be at a place now where people have to know, like, yo, I'm probably not the good spokesperson on that, because I'm not so, you know,
You're not heavy on it.
Exactly. But it's like, but speak to somebody who that really is their, like, main issue. I'm heavy on the, you know, like, obviously I'm lesbian. Like, do you want me to teach you about why I could have had a child, been married, now be completely lesbian? It's like, well, because first of all, if I'm attracted to both, however, women are fucking amazing, and, like, I like to be a provider, I like to be a protector, I like to be this role, then I'm gonna go with a woman. Like, that's what I want, you know? So I don't know. It's like, it's these dynamics that I think some people's brain just don't get. And it's like, well, baby, like, if that's not your brain, then fucking figure it out. But that's not my job to be a mom to you. Like, you had a mom for fucking, like, 30 years and you don't fucking, like, that's her job. Go find her and get a refund.
Period. No, and I feel like, you know, it's very important. I feel like, especially, you know, and I feel like you're starting to see that more. And I feel like you're such, you know, you're a very inspiring person, because I feel like back in the day, you know, you wouldn't see a lot of artists come out as queer, come out being a part of the LGBT community. And I feel like, do you ever feel like a responsibility to represent your people in that sense as an artist? Because I feel like ya ahora en día ya miras más people like, you know, Lil Nas coming out being gay, and you see more artists being more accepted. But back 10 years ago, you would not, even if you were, you'd be like, you gotta hide that shit.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I think there's always been a responsibility on me, you know, and obviously there's, like I said, peeling back the layers, evolving, growing. Like, you know, you are allowed to grow in front of your fan base. I think a lot of times people get me mistaken with, like, somebody who's been out for 2 years. And it's like, okay, you met them as they are. You didn't see all these layers. You didn't see the process. You saw me go through these things. And it sucks. And sometimes maybe you might pull up something and be like, well, this day you said this. And it's like, yeah, bitch, that was 9 years ago. Like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to say about that. Like, I'm growing. I'm figuring myself out. And I'm allowed to because I'm a human being. Like, fuck being Snow the Product. I can quit that shit any day. Claudia, like, I'm trying to figure myself out, because, you know, going from a depressed, anxiety driven, like, fucking suicidal person to being somebody who has all this responsibility on her shoulders of, like, representing a bunch of different people that, like, I don't fucking know. Like, you know, sometimes they're like, oh, what a great role model. And I'm like, I'm not here to raise your kids. Like, I'm here to fucking grow up in front of you and fucking show you what I'm living. But that's it. That's the extent of my responsibility. And I do love representing immigrants. I've recorded songs. I've done my job. I've donated the money. I've done things quietly where you don't see it. And I've done things publicly where you do see it. And I feel like I've done my best. And then at some point, you know, you get some random page that's like, well, Snow didn't post about this, so she must not be. And it's like, really, bitch, 12 years in, you fucking, you know, like, I don't fucking know. So I think a lot of times it's easy to get a little bit defensive on some of these things and be like, yo, like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I wish you would fucking, you know, like, compare your tweets from 12 years ago and my tweets from 12 years ago. You were fucking probably tweeting about, I don't know, fucking crayons, and I was already tweeting about immigration. Like, I was already fucking tipping the elotero more than I fucking tip the person at fucking, I don't know, Del Frisco's or something. Like, you know, so fucking take it easy on somebody.
I feel like talking about responsibility is very important. It was going to go on to my next question. You know, like you said, you've been, you know, rapping and talking about immigration for very, very long, you give yourself this responsibility because a lot of artists don't need to be responsible for real life shit. Exactly. A lot of artists, you guys,
they get to be pop. They get to be like, that's not what I'm here for.
I don't need to talk about what's going on in the world because buy my album. And I feel like you've given
But
yourself,
then don't say for la cultura though. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say you're for the culture. Don't use that shit as dollars. Like I had somebody recently, like they were hating on me or something, and then I go to their page, and dead ass, it was a bunch of Mexican flags in their bio, and they're making songs about El Chapo and all this shit. And you're just like, bro, like you use the culture for like your benefit, but you are not about the culture. You're not doing anything for the culture. This isn't an exchange. This is a fucking transaction, and it goes your way, and you're hoping that other people fucking see you as a token, but you're not giving us anything. And I think there's a difference when I go to a Sway, when I go to a Charlemagne, when I go to Breakfast Club, when I go to these big opportunities that are my moment, and I can make it all about me, and I don't, and I always make it about talking about issues that they wouldn't have otherwise talked about on their thing. That's when it gets hard. Exactly.
Because I feel like it's really easy for like artists to be like, you know what, calladito me miro más bonito, because you know I feel like this is the thing, you know, it's different. I mean, you're a rapper. I'm over here doing influencership, but I feel like it's also very similar. I feel like the more opinions you have, the smaller your audience gets.
100%.
But sometimes it's better to have it that way because entre menos gente tienes siguiéndote that don't think like you, the better your fucking fan base is gonna fucking fuck with you. Because I feel like you're very strong about like, I feel like your fan base is a very, very strong representation of who you are as a person because you're so vocal about these like real life shit problems. You're so vocal about what really matters to you that the people that follow you, they connect with you in that way. You know what I mean? Like the random fucking trolls you get are people that are probably just finding you, don't really know who you're about and what you're about. So I feel like that's very important also as an artist to like be really you because like I had watched an interview where you're like talking about longevity. You've been doing this shit for a long time and you're consistently growing and growing. And I feel like there's artists that like will have their moment y valió.
And that's what it is. It's like you find your tribe, you know, you find your people. And the more you find your exact people, the more that you don't give a fuck about the other people because you're like, bro, like, let's say, you know, fuck, you know, millions of followers or whatever the fuck you got, right? Let's say you have 100,000 that are definitely just die hard, you know, people. Golly, like I have 100,000 people that are really fucking with me, that really love me, that have seen me fuck up and have seen me go through real life shit and love me, and that's great. Like I love that, and I can relate to those people, and now I work for those people. But I don't work for this big inflated number of like people who want to see and be nosy. Like I don't care about that. I care about like the people who really give a fuck about me, and I'm fine with the numbers being smaller if it means like I matter to those people, because at the end of the day,
that's able to say and do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah, be honest and live my life, bro. I would hate to fucking be in a prison of fake shit because I want my followers to grow. Like that would suck ass, because now you're just like, I don't even like who I am online. Like imagine being like mad corny online because it gets you mad likes, but you're like totally separate. You know, it's like fuck that.
And I feel like that's a very like funny thing that you mentioned, because there's a lot of people with un chingo de seguidores, but you can see the fakeness through them. You can see that shit when they're just trying to fucking please everyone. And I feel like it comes to a point where you're like, you know what, you really can't fucking please everyone. And you're gonna be you, and if they like it, les gusta, y si no, la chingada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I could be loudly insecure. Like that's the thing too, is like there's a lot of people that are insecure and they hide that shit, or they say like they're not or whatever. And it's like, I can let you know. Yes, I grew up with mad anxiety. My tios are fucking assholes, and like literally I was raised around like pura fucking bullying, you know? Like I have like 18 uncles and aunts. Like bruh, like I was really raised like, and I was the softer kid who like, you know, tried to like hide, you know, how much I was fucking gay. Like really, like, so the day that I fucking came out and I pull up with my girl to Mexico and I'm like, this is what it is, and everyone had to shut the fuck up and respect that, that was a power move. That was me being like, nothing? Okay, cool, bet.
Period.
So you know what I mean? That's how it feels. And now it's like, I'm out here and I'm just letting a bunch of people know, like, bro, like, you can be raised just like me, and you can grow up and do whatever the fuck you want to do and make money and shut your fucking family up.
You know, you were a very shy kid. Do you feel Snow, like you mentioned earlier, she's your alter ego, do you feel like she gives you todo esa confidence that you like portray online and everything? Because I feel like even for me too, like, I'm Jose offline, but I'm Alannized online. And I feel like when I'm in makeup, when I'm in glam, when I'm at events, I'm a whole ass different person than I'm the person that's sitting down on my couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I feel like Snow the Product is like the girl that put on Shakira shows in front of her dolls, you know, and like imagined what I would be, and that superpower that you're like, if I was strong enough to say these things, this is who I would be, you know. And like Claudia, like, yeah, I was always more introverted, more anxiety. I just felt like that, but you know, I don't know, they blend at some point, you know, they blend. Like I feel like the more that I grow, the more that I know about myself, the more I'm like, okay, bet these two people are the same person. I have traumas, bitch. Like I'm growing through them, and I'm going to counseling, and I'm figuring it out. But you know, I think it's very human, and thank God, you know, more and more people are realizing like artists are humans, and even though there's still those mega huge artists where like they're still this polished thing, like some of us that are more like independent, like we get to show you all the real shit, and you get to fucking see it all.
Oh my God, esa pinche plática en verdad que estaba buena. You know, I will say, without anyone else getting butthurt and without any of you guys starting any drama, I will say this is probably one of my favorite episodes that I filmed. You know, going into it, I was literally talking to like, you know, my production guys, and I was like, I'm a little scared, I'm a little nervous, you know what I mean? Because you see this fucking powerhouse online, and you're like, fuck. You guys, I film always like in fucking shorts or sweatpants. Like I'm never fully updone. So I was a little nervous, but thank you so much, you know, for talking and for literally, you know, being who the fuck you are online here at my home.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Ya después de todo ese chisme, you guys, como que también el chisme nos cansa. We're gonna go ahead and spice it up and play a little Wheel of Pendejadas. So, como pueden ver, Snow spun the wheel and she got the wild card. And in the wild card, you guys, she got the alphabet game. I'm putting a lot of pressure on you because we've had 4 people attempt this game and we have not gotten past the letter B.
And I drank right now.
And the last person I had a lot of faith in. I was like, you're going to be the different maker. You're going to be that person. So I'm putting all that pressure on you, Snow.
Okay, cool.
You got this?
Yeah, more pressure. Great.
All right, we're going to go ahead and they're going to give us a category right now. So basically, if you guys have never played the alphabet game, production's going to give us a letter. Production's going to give us a category. And whatever that category is, let it be food, artists, town, city, state, whatever it is, me and her have to go back from A, B, C, D in 3 seconds and think about, you know, something that starts with that letter in that category.
Okay.
And it's way harder than you think.
My brain doesn't really work.
Because when you're on a time crunch, I'm like, girl, mine neither. I have these practice already. I'm like, my cheat notes. But I play this enough that I feel like I have the A and B always. Like,
okay, all right.
But we've never gotten past that. So
okay.
Ready? What's the category? Food. Okay, let's see who starts. Do you want to start?
Okay, fine.
Okay,
fine.
go.
Okay.
A.
Acapurrias.
Bologna.
Ceviche.
Dogs. Hot dogs. No, dogs. I'm like eating dogs. No, fuck, I lost. You guys, usually I fucking win. Okay. Let's do artist.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna do best out of 3, you guys.
Oh my God, artist? Wait, I don't even know that many. No, that's fine. Beat me.
All right, yeah. Let me get a point. All right, I'll start. Fuck. All right. I'll start. Okay. Okay. A. Anuel.
Bad Bunny.
C. Fuck! I'm like, girl, I feel like when I gave that fucking topic, I feel like I had a lot even to go. But when you're put on the spot, it's kind of
yeah.
And then like you think about the seconds that no one's really fucking counting, and you kind of stress yourself
you're like,
out more. So
okay.
Snow won. You won.
Oh, that's
you
it.
Won.
I
That's
win.
it. You're a winner. Woo! All right, you guys. So como acaban ver, we just finished playing the game, and now we're gonna go. We're approaching the end of today's episode, and we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to Snow para que ella nos diga what is next for you.
Dang, thank you. I pretty much got, my tour is out, Dale Gas, buy tickets, you know, LA is sold out, but I'm adding Santa Ana. I think. Just that's the last edition that I'm having right now. There's a bunch of sold out shows. It's great. It's going amazing wherever you are. Just, check me out. It's pretty cool. It's fun. Champagne, girls twerking, piñatas, tequila, Vicente Fernandez. So, all the shit you want to see as a Mexican American or Latino in general. Let's see. I have a bunch of merch, obviously, on my website. Go check out my podcast. It's called Everyday Days. And I have a bunch of new songs. I have the Hera one. I have the Kenya Oa song. Those are amazing. And I have a new one called Nieve with Araca Kiko from Dominican Republic. And nothing. We're going to keep on going all year. We're going to keep on going strong and, showing people that we could do this.
Period. All right, you guys. So with that being said, we're approaching the end. Make sure you guys go follow Snow the Product on our social medias, which will be linked down below. Y también no se los olvide seguirme a mí so you guys won't miss any future episode. And with that being said, you guys, thank you guys so much for listening. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to Noche de Pendejadas, the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching. And with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.